here just to talk about your new album. Uh,
Yes.
and it's correctly.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. We're just over a month away from the release of this new album, and what's the main differences between this album and your previous musical release?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So I think this album, what I find exciting and interesting about it personally is that at the same time as this album is very much for me coming back to my roots, where I'm from, the music that has inspired me when I was growing up and all that. This album also is very nuanced and experimental and playful, I think. And in a way, I feel that on this album, it's some kind of a homecoming for me because it's I've had a long career. I've been doing this. I've been releasing many albums and making music for over 25 years now. So it's been a long creative journey for me. And I feel on this album, I am kind of gathering all my like experiences. It's almost like a canvas on where I'm painting my identity and or the place where I am right now creatively. So yes, did I answer the question?
Yeah, well, and talking about this, your roots and the return to your roots, is the for this new album you decided to completely put aside the English lyrics and embrace your native language. Uh,
Yeah.
this does give your music even more authenticity. Does it make it even more personal for you?
Yeah, it does. I mean, when I started writing the music for this album, which is maybe 2.5 years ago, I went to a place where I really just wanted to dig into sounds and ideas and textures and moods. And it was all a very abstract uh, thing at the time when it started. But I very soon realized that I was creating music that had to be sung in my native language because it just called for it somehow. And I thought of the lyrics in Faroese, so it just had to be that way. And I've always said that I've always thought about languages very much as an instrument. So all languages can do certain things, and I think that my voice as an instrument sounds different when I sing in English or other languages than it does when I sing in Faroese. And I felt that that was the sound I needed for this album.
You worked with a local poet. I can't remember. I can't pronounce their name. Marjun.
Yeah, Mario. Yes.
How this work came out.
Well, I wrote the songs and produced them together with my partner. We worked on all the productions together and wrote even some songs together. And I had like a long text for each song, like almost like a brainstorm on what I wanted the song to do and tell and what feelings I wanted to work with in each song. And my friend Marion, who is a poet in the Faroe, one of my favorite poets, she writes beautiful poetry. And I called her up and asked her if she would be interested in working with me on this album because the way she writes just is so raw and beautiful, and I wanted to collaborate with her, and so we did that. So we've collaborated on all the songs on this album, almost all of them, not all of them, but and that's what yeah. I always think it's beautiful when artists meet and collaborate because it kind of takes both of them to a place where you wouldn't go by yourself. So I like that. Opens the mind.
Great. For those who don't know, you are from Faroe Island, a
Yes.
relatively small place, but full of contrast and beauty. But how difficult it is to raise and grow as an artist, to raise your hand and stand out coming from a place that is, at least in our minds, is a little far from the rest of the world.
Yeah. It is. I remember when I was a young teenager, and my biggest dream in the world was to be a singer, a musician, and to make that my living. And I remember the feeling of feeling so far away from the world and like having these thoughts, will I ever, will I ever be able to do this? But at the same time, when you come from such a small community, um, it's quicker probably to meet other artists that are also making music. And I very quickly, when I was a young teenager, met other artists and musicians that were also making music. And that way I felt I had a creative home in a way, like a community where I felt that I belonged in. And it's difficult. I mean, it's difficult for every artist to get your work out there, I guess, no matter where you're from. And when you're from such a small place, you need some support from your country or your roots, the people around you, I guess. And I was lucky enough to get that early on in my career, to get the support from the people of the Faroe Islands. They would listen to my music and come to my concerts. And it's just been a long journey where I gradually have built up a fan base outside the Faroe Islands. Yeah.
But I think you're grateful to grow in so peculiar place, because I think it helps to make this pretty peculiar and beautiful music you make.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I've always been extremely inspired and yeah, inspired by the place I'm from. And I always say that like the landscapes and the nature and all the contrasts of the Faroe Islands just unconsciously are like very much a part of my sound. It's like my inner soundscape. I think in pictures, and when I think about music, I see pictures in my head, and it's often raw landscape that I see when I write music.
Well, sincerely, in this side of the world, the culture of places like Faroe Island, Iceland, or even Denmark is not something we are so familiar, with exception for projects like Eivør. Do you consider yourself like an ambassador of this Nordic culture?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, I don't personally, I don't see myself as an ambassador for anything. I'm just an artist, and I create my music. But it very quickly you very quickly get associated with the place you come from, especially when you come from a small place like that. And I'm a very proud Faroese, and I'm very proud of my home country and where I'm from and my roots. So you could say that, yeah, in a way it goes hand in hand, but I'm not trying to be an ambassador or selling anything other than giving the world my music, sharing my music with the world. I mean, yeah, I've been amazed that I've seen like a lot of metalheads showing up at my concerts past few years. And I mean, and I don't make like pure metal music at all. My music is much more like a mix of many elements and genres, where they all come together in a way. But it's the best audience. They're so loyal, such a loyal fan base to have, and I'm very grateful for all my my metal audience because of that. And I guess my music has elements that maybe do a little crossover into the more maybe the darker side of my music resonates with a lot of metalheads. Maybe the guttural things and maybe the more traditional inspired folk elements from my culture, which finds its way into my music all the time, is something that resonates. I couldn't say. I don't know what it is.
Great. As you say, your music has very, very different elements. Uh, how to be so eclectic, uh, so original without losing the original essential of a project?
Yeah, I always try to stay true to myself when I create my things, and I appreciate the creative freedom that I have, and I like to combine things, like use something very old sounding, very primal, and bring something new into it, and like turn it into something new. And I like to surprise myself when I create, to not do the same thing again. I try to expand my creative mind every time I make an album. Um, and about staying true to yourself, I think that's the essence of that, to do create the music that your own soul wants to hear, and then you share it with people, and hopefully someone will find something that they recognize within themselves in your music. It should be like a mirror, a reflection.
And lyrically, your music has sometimes a great environmental sense in some parts. These days, where it seems that we're all more aware of this subject, but at the same time, pollution continues and climate change seems to be more serious every day, and water is scarce. What's the future for humanity to continue this path, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, that's what this album also reflects on a lot, and I don't think I have the answer, but this album is very much about that, and about our relationship to each other. We live in such dark times today, and you know, both like the world, the state of the world, but also yes, our earth, and this precious life that we've been given. How do we spend our time here as visitors on this beautiful planet? I don't know, for this album, I've been thinking about these things a lot, and I think this album is more like it's just asking the questions, and hopefully people will find some comfort, um, or even a sense of belonging, in some of the songs, is my hope. But I don't have the answer for the future of our our state, unfortunately.
We're fucking them.
Maybe we're just doomed.
Okay. You played with Heilung a few days ago in Red Rocks, an epic place
I
between
did.
the Great Canyon. How was this experience?
It was amazing. I mean, playing Red Rocks is a dream for any musician, and it was incredible to experience this place. I mean, this place has just so much magic on its own. So yeah, it's very powerful and beautiful to play there. And yeah, it was incredible. And the audience was amazing.
Well, Latin American audience is better. What about Latin America? What about next?
Yes, I so much want to come there. I wanted to come like for many, many years, and it's my hope and dream that it won't be long now. I hope that I get to play there soon. I know I have some fans there. I don't know how many I have, but I have a few.
Maybe next
So
year, maybe later this year.
yeah, maybe, definitely, maybe next year. I have a European tour this year, and I'm playing in Australia for the first time. And I know that next year I'll be touring America, so who knows? Hey, I'm Eivør, and this is Summa Inferno. My new album will be out in June, and I hope you'll hear it and enjoy it.